Welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast, episode number 34, we think. I am one of your hosts. I am Casey Kelderman.
I'm Brian Mansing.
And today we are joined, finally, by the fat dude.
I have arrived. The fat dude is here. I am super excited to be here, guys. I've been waiting for this for probably since the time I found you guys on Facebook and was like, oh my gosh, there are more movie geeks here in South Dakota.
He is not alone.
So yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to be here.
No, it's going to be a very fun episode. It's also going to be a very long episode.
Probably.
We have probably the most amount of news I think we've ever talked about on the show.
Sorry.
And we also have a very fun topic in honor of Midsommar. We're going to talk about movies involving cults.
There you go.
Not cult movies.
Not cult movies like The Room or Birdemic. Eventually, one day, we will talk about those.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
You gotta give a shout out where it's due.
We'll talk about those someday, but today is not that day. Today, we're going to talk about the creepy and the cults. So we're going to talk about those, but before we get to that, let's jump to the box office. Number one this week, Toy Story 4, $59 million. Staying at that number one spot, not bad for a second week out for Pixar.
No, but it actually took a bigger dip than I thought it would.
Really?
50%.
Right at 50, I think that's fair.
It's
Yeah.
Oh no, it's fair, but I figured with what was coming out and what's already in the theater, I figured it would still take a lot of that family business. So I didn't picture like a 60, whatnot, but I figured more probably about the 40-ish, maybe 45 tops, honestly.
I think because, honestly, nothing really. I don't mean to knock Annabelle and Yesterday. But I think, I know. But I think because the new releases that came out were so weak, I think that helped it. But also, it didn't open as high as people had really expected it to. So I think,
It opened up at the highest of all Toy
of all
Stories.
the Toy Stories, but I think people were from what some of the estimates I read were shooting for ridiculous numbers considering some of the other movies that have come out this summer.
You got to be realistic.
I know, right? That's what it comes down to. But no, I think good for Toy Story.
Yeah. They weren't hurting for money anyway.
Right, no,
but
I think they're going to be okay.
no, I'm looking at these numbers right now, and I'm like, I think this is just a good, solid weekend for movies. Toy Story, of course, is going to be at number one, but looking at the next two movies on this list, I think they have very good opening weekends opening up against a Pixar movie.
Right.
Annabelle at number two, Annabelle Comes Home, $20 million. I think that's a very good opening weekend with, what they're going up against. It opened bigger than Child's Play, which is what did we say last week? 17?
Yeah, it was pretty shitty.
Child's Play dropped pretty hard this week. 68% drop for Child's Play into the number 8 spot.
What was Annabelle again?
Annabelle, $20 million.
Yeah, I'll probably shoestring 10 minutes, $4 or $5 million.
$5 million budget
Right.
at most. Yeah, I watched this movie this weekend. I actually really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm working on a Conjuring series ranking.
Nice.
It's going to be pretty high up there. Shocking, even to myself, because I had next to no expectations for this movie.
Right.
You set the bar kind of low after La Llorona.
Yeah, Ya Llorona is really bad. But Annabelle Creation, I thought, was really good. It was surprising how good it was.
And that's what I hear. I hear that one is really good, and I need to check that one out. And I think because of that, how good that one has kind of lasted in people's brains, that's one that's way better than people expected it to be. I think the third one kind of had that, it's not going to top Annabelle Creation. And did it come close?
Little spoiler, yes, it did.
That's
it
good.
It tops it for me.
Oh wow,
I think
that's great.
Gary Doberman, who has been around since the first Conjuring, this is his directorial debut, and I think just him understanding these characters, the story, where this universe is, I think just helps a lot. They introduce a couple new characters that if they were to do the Nun type of spin-off,
Yeah.
I would be A-okay with.
Wow.
Because and it has a werewolf, and I've been waiting for the werewolf since the end of the first Conjuring.
That's cool.
The werewolf is amazing.
That's cool.
Number three, Yesterday, $17 million. I think that's a pretty good opening for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of marketing for it.
Right.
I mean, it's a relatively small movie, as small as a movie about the Beatles can be.
Okay, I'm gonna. Here's a real quick interjection. You're not much from marketing, right? I think their marketing was where they expected it to be, though, which was mainly television. And even if it was on Facebook or social media kind of things, we're not the people are going to see
That's exactly what I was going to say.
The algorithm is not looking for us. So that, at least for social media marketing, it probably was there. We are just not the ones that are going to be seeing it.
Right.
And because, I mean, in terms of television, I have YouTube TV, so my shit streams and, all that stuff. But, I mean, I freaking saw ads all the effing time for that movie. So I think it's just a matter of you get nothing but like bloody disgusting in your Facebook feed. So
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's geared towards, we're adults. But
we're adults, but we're not the ones
I don't
that
necessarily know that we'd consider ourselves super adults.
We're of the age of adults.
Right. We're the age that grown-ups should be. But yeah, I saw a bunch of commercials like paired up with morning news shows. So, I mean, that's the audience that's going to go to this. And it looks like they did. So, but yeah, there wasn't anything. It was something that I wanted to see until I started seeing the trailers for it, or kind of digging more in detail with the trailers. It just looks very too feel good for my tastes.
Yeah, it does look very feel good. Number 4 this week, Aladdin, $10 million. And then number 5, rounding it off for us, Secret Life of Pets 2, $7 million. But one more number I want to jump to, Avengers Endgame, with its new re-release.
watch what you're doing there.
Adding a scene and
They added a little bit here and there.
it jumped its change up to 200%.
It jumped it.
So it went from number 13 to number 7, pulled in $6 million this weekend,
Yeah.
inching closer to Avatar.
I'm checking now.
They're trying.
They're keep
trying.
going. But they also announced, I think, that it's coming out on Blu-ray at the end of August.
No. Digital is on the 30th of July, and then Blu-ray is on the 13th.
Yeah, so I mean they're getting to the end of their theatrical window, and I remember that Avatar was in theaters for like 6 or 7 months, and it got there was a re-release in there somewhere, so I don't know if they're gonna do it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to just start digging up scenes from like older movies or something just to throw in another scene.
We're adding more. We're adding more. Come back.
24, just shy of 24. 23.1.
What do we think? You think it's good? Do we think it'll top it?
No, I don't.
It's gonna come so
so
effing close.
The question I have to ask is this: let's say, would this number count if they released Avengers Endgame again in like 5 years in the theater? Is that where Titanic got its 3rd place spot?
Well,
After it got re-released?
It adds to the gross.
Titanic was always in first until Avatar came around, even before the re-release of.
But I'm just wondering if that number counts towards it.
Yeah, if there's a theatrical re-release at all, it gets added to the total.
At some point, Avengers Endgame will top Avatar. Then
It might.
They're gonna do it before the next Avengers movie or
they
something.
Are desperate to make that
they
happen.
want that.
If you do enough digging on Box Office Mojo, you're actually going to find a section where it says multi-release, because it'll actually give you the releases individually and how much they brought in.
Yeah, so I think eventually it will. Until Avatar re-releases in theaters before Avatar 2. They're just going to keep fighting forever.
You are not... I didn't even think about that. That's James Cameron and... Well,
Disney's going to be fighting themselves at that point.
Disney's going to be like, we need to bring more money.
That's right.
Put them both out in the same weekend and just see what happens. All right, let's jump to the news for the week. I want to start off with some local news. We got some pretty big news here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
What do we got?
We got the State Theater is going to be opening next year, 2020, after some backing by Sanford and the city of Sioux Falls. How excited are we for this?
This is so cool.
For someone who has almost lived his entire life in this city, but the amount of time of when I was not here is when the state was open. So for me, I'm excited for it because I've never actually been in the state when it was functioning. Outside of, a couple of tours that we've done, in the last year. So I'm excited. I like the little hometown theater feeling that it has and whatnot. It reminds me of when I lived in Illinois. We had the Lincoln Theater. It was literally just the one screen that was pulled down over the
stage.
Over the stage, God, I remember watching K-9 on that. You're too young.
I know what movie you're talking about.
Okay, just checking.
Belushi.
Yes,
Everybody loves the Belushi.
wrong Belushi, Brian.
Everybody loved that Belushi then, too. There's nothing wrong with Jim Belushi. You give him the credit he deserves.
We're gonna fight about Jim Belushi.
According to
rights.
Jim,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong.
I'm gonna right there. I'm gonna agree with Blake. What is with you millennials and fighting everything?
Because I don't know. That's a fight for a different day, Brian. All right, Andy, how do you feel about this? Have you been to the State Theater before?
I have not. I've not taken a tour in the State Theater yet, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to eventually doing. I know.
Is it the kind of thing where, like myself here, by the time you were in Sioux Falls, it was way closed?
Oh yeah. It's like I don't remember it ever being open, and I've lived here now a little over a decade. So
then
not
definitely
super
because
long.
I came in my sixth grade year.
Yeah.
That's like
What, 5 years ago?
fuck you. You're the 12-year-old with the beard, asshole. No, you're talking like 92, 93 is how long
Right.
it's been closed.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I mean, anytime you drive by and just looking at how they've kind of gussied it up on the outside too, it's always like, oh man, this would be so cool if they could do something with this. And they had the campaign to raise money for it. And now that it's opening and looking at the chairs and just the idea of the programming that they're going to do for this place with, they said at the press conference, Denny Sanford said during the press conference that he's like, we're going to get classics here playing all the time. And then the guy who runs the theater is like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Not just classics. But I think they will. And I think that'll be really cool for our area to have a theater that plays, old movies, art films, foreign films, stuff for children,
maybe we're going to
wide
get the
releases.
stuff, or as I say, maybe we'll finally get the stuff that we only hear about at the Oscars.
Yep. So I think that'll be really cool. And hopefully, the people that are involved, behind the scenes, like bring really high quality stuff to it. But I'm excited. I think this will be really cool to have another option.
Yeah, when me and Brian went on this tour last October-ish, roughly.
Yeah, I was going to say it was before it snowed.
Yeah, before we even started this.
Yeah.
Before we started Backlot, we went on a tour of the State Theater, and we talked to some of the people that are in charge of the project and stuff, and they said one thing they do want to do is bring in more independent movies, stuff that's not going to be in the Cinemarks here in Sioux Falls. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We're looking forward to it. They're expecting 2020 for this to be open.
Heck yeah.
That's
Be there.
awesome.
Opening day, if you can get a ticket.
That's awesome. All right, so let's jump to the rest of the news that is not involving Sioux Falls as that we know of.
Well, it kind of involves us, just not yet.
Just not yet. Paul Rudd joins the cast of Ghostbusters 2020. What do we think of this? I think this is awesome casting news.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's Paul Rudd. You had me at Paul Rudd.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm already there for Ghostbusters, and Paul Rudd being in a third chapter that is a direct sequel to the rest of the series. Yep. I'm there. Take my money.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's rumored to play a teacher of this new cast of Ghostbusters, so I think that would be a fun... I don't know. I would like Paul Rudd as my teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who would not want Paul Rudd as their teacher?
Be like, you're just a charming fella, Paul Rudd. Teach me whatever you want to.
So Ghostbusters 2020, as it's, I guess, going to be called. That's what the IMDb page has it officially titled as.
Yeah.
I kind of like the title if they stick with that.
Yeah.
Oh, Ghostbusters 2020?
Yeah.
Guaranteed IMDb only has that in because that's what the working title is because they don't know yet.
Yeah.
That is set for July 10th, 2020.
What?
Henry Cavill is set to play Sherlock Holmes, and you're going to have to help me with this name, Brian. Enola Holmes, opposite of Millie Bobby Brown. I have no idea what this is.
No clue.
I'm assuming she is that this is Sherlock Holmes' daughter.
I think it was little sister actually.
Yeah, something like that.
That's a quite an age difference between Henry Cavill and Millie Bobby Brown, though.
Yeah, and I think I feel like from what I heard that she is the central character. Like she is what the focus is, and he's kind of the support on this one.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun having Henry Cavill play Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, did you see today they just released some stills from The Witcher, the
Yes,
Netflix
on
series?
Netflix, yeah.
That looks pretty cool. I think that'll be fun. Kind of a nice to have another moderate, big budget kind of fantasy series. So
Just seeing Henry Cavill with long hair makes me wish in Justice League, he had the long hair.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I mean, if they would have gone along with the proper use of the death and life of Superman, he should have.
In that black,
Or they should have just had the mustache as the replacement for the mullet.
So, side note here, Enola Holmes as the 14-year-old sister to the already famous Sherlock Holmes. 20 years her senior. So it actually goes with
That
the story.
actually fits then for what they're. It's a
But-
book series they're going off of. It looks like.
Yes, it's
Young adult.
an actual established character. But the one thing about this, and one of the things that I came across in some of the social media was looking at Henry Cavill and the type of movies he is, the kind of character, kind of person he is, and then you picture Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch, and you're like, I don't see the analytical. Obviously he's going to be the kind of the I can kick anyone's ass, Sherlock Holmes, but like they compared it to like the fight scenes of the Guy Ritchie, Robert Downey Jr., where the slow-mo, the very analytical side of Sherlock Holmes. And until I see something, I mean, other than the British accent, I don't see it.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a Sherlock Holmes version of his character from The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yes.
Like just another kind of ass-kicking spy. And yeah, I mean, he just...
Unless it's literally just that he's in the supporting role. I mean, obviously,
Right.
based on this, it's a supporting role, so maybe it's just a matter of they're using the name for the draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have a huge part in this.
It's all going to be about... I mean, come on. Everybody loves Millie Bobby Brown and put her in everything. Give her a good, solid something, because Stranger Things proves that she's got the chops for it.
Oh, yeah.
Godzilla does not give her that.
It does not.
No.
It does
Well,
not. It's fun to see her in a big-budget movie like that, but, man, they do her a big disservice, I think, with that
But at least we can appreciate and agree that it's not her is the problem.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, not her fault.
She should have just played Godzilla. Like that's what we're trying to say here.
Sign her up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Godzilla shows up. Here comes 11 walking in, and Godzilla's like, fuck, I'm out.
All right, looking at the next piece of news here, AMC Theaters is set to begin what they're calling the AMC Artisan Films, which is set to showcase smaller films against bigger budget blockbusters. So, Brian, you had a chance to look at this article. You actually sent it to me. Mm-hmm. What did you take away from this story?
That they're going to try something again. I guess this is not the first time. It's just named differently. Props to AMC for trying to figure out ways to be able to get people to go to movies that are not Fast and Furious, a Marvel movie, or, fucking Titanic, kind of things. But at the same time, too, people are going to go to the movies that they generally want to see, regardless if they somehow get an extra 3 weeks in the theater, they get an extra screening, whatever the case is. Again, props for them to try and doing it, but I don't think it's going to mesh very much for them.
Is that what this is? It's basically they're just giving these lower budget films like another screen or like another extended running time.
There wasn't a whole lot of info on it, but from what I took away with it is that they are going to give it a little bit more screens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put a little more marketing behind it, but I'm like, as much as a theater, I guess, can put behind a movie.
Right,
yeah, I was going to say.
That's going to rely back on the studio to do that.
Yeah.
But
And I mean, the idea of it is nice. I mean, it sounds great, but we live in an area where there's the Cinemark theaters, the 2nd Century theaters, and they do that with CineArts, and we don't really. I mean, there's not really any extra attention put to that.
I was going to say, what is the CineArts?
Right? Yeah.
The only reason why I know that is the thing is
pops up at the logo. At the
yes.
very beginning. Yep.
And we very rarely get it. It seems like
right.
Because now that you literally say that is like a thing like this, the first thing when I see that and I think it says Tinseltown and blah blah blah, I just thought it was another subcategory.
Another chain.
Yeah, another chain. I had no idea.
Yeah, and the only
that's
reason,
more of their live production stuff, isn't it? Or
I think it can be.
What live production stuff? Everything that's live production you ever see at the theater is all Fathom events.
Yeah, that's true too. They do the Metropolitan Opera, and I don't know is that through Fathom events as
that
well?
was Fathom.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few indies that I've seen at the Century Theaters over the course of the last decade that I've been here, where it'll have like a thing that pops up before the movie that says CineArts, but I don't even think they do that anymore because there have been independent films I've seen over the last several years where there's no little no lead into it. It just gets right to the movies. They've got to do their little, popcorn ad first before they get to the movie. So it's a cool idea.
Midsommar is one of the ones that they're going to try to do this with.
Yeah.
We're actually getting that. I'm a little surprised we're getting that.
Yeah, I am super pumped that we're getting Midsommar.
So let's stop talking about these stupid independent movies. Let's jump back to the blockbusters. We're part of the problem here.
Yeah.
Similar to the 2006 initiative AMC Select.
Yeah.
Speaking of blockbusters, we had the first official casting for the Little Mermaid Disney live-action remake. Melissa McCarthy will play Ursula.
I saw it in talks. They didn't say official. At least for the quick that I looked it up. So
it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll probably go that direction.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can see that.
I can totally see it.
Yeah, would there have been other people maybe that you would have rather that gone to? Sure, of course. I think she'll be fine. I'm not going to get upset about it until I see, if it happens and then she doesn't do a good job. But yeah, I think that's an interesting choice. I think especially if you want to have a star in that role.
It's going to have a star. They're talking to Aquafina.
Oh, yeah, she's in talks to be Scuttle, right? The bird that was voiced by Buddy Hackett, I think.
All I know
I
is
saw that today. That's why.
all I know is that after seeing her in Ocean's 8,
she can do anything.
I want to see everything she's in.
She can do anything.
She's one of the reasons why I want to see Crazy Rich Asians.
Today, Junior?
Yeah, she was great in that movie. I
just
I'm
like
a
it.
big Aquafina fan. I think she's awesome.
And the water. No.
The water is great,
The
too.
water's good too. But yeah, no, I'll take it. But it makes sense to me.
I think it's a safe casting choice.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Is if you look at Ursula and you're like, okay, I need to put somebody, and of course they're not going to try to. If it's an actual person and not a CGI, if they don't try to do the whole Will Smith thing, they're gonna have to put somebody in there because Disney's not going to be stupid and try to do the fat suit thing. So you need to put somebody in who is, that looks like Ursula.
Oh, yeah, she would play that part perfectly, but I do think there's going to be a lot of CGI with her yet.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going... The Will Smith thing is... it's over and done with, but yet Aladdin still made a shit ton of money.
I picture all the CGI being just strictly, basically... Tentacles. I picture all the upper side of her. I don't picture CGI.
I do. I don't think she's going purple at all. I don't think she would.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
One thing I did read online was that other people were fan casting it after they announced it, and somebody said Kathy Bates as Ursula. Yeah, I would be on board for that. But yeah, I mean,
oh my god, she would be so dark,
terrifying.
Oh my god,
a terrifying Disney movie.
And that's probably why you go with somebody like Melissa McCarthy, because yeah, Kathy Bates would literally kill it. But I'm pretty sure she would scare every fucking child in the theater.
She would scare me in the theater.
At least
Melissa McCarthy is, just has this genuine, comedic feel to her.
She feels like she can be wicked, but she also feels like, she's lighthearted.
You still want to hug her.
Exactly.
All right, next piece of news involving Bond 25, the Doom production behind Bond 25.
That is mainly the reason why I sent this, because everything seems to go freaking sideways with this movie still. At this point right now, I want to know if this movie's even going to finish to the point where we're actually going to see it.
I don't think it's going to keep this release date that we have on here, but the story is Grace Jones reportedly quits Bond 25 right after arriving on set after realizing how little her part was going to be.
Which,
I mean...
No.
First off, I didn't even know that they had cast Grace Jones to... Would she be reprising her?
Yes,
reprising her role?
She was going to be the same role.
That's
I
weird.
think.
Yeah, I think it was a somewhat of a cameo role, I guess. Which Bond was she in again?
View to Kill?
That's right. The Duran Duran one. That's how I remember that
one.
1986. Yeah. I feel like I'm a little more optimistic about this Bond movie just because they did that. They released that little press kit this last week. That was like a 2-minute behind the scenes look at the movie. And it looked like they were having fun, but I also think this was filmed probably before everything started to just...
Before there was explosions and a broken ankle.
And video games.
And, oh my God, that one. I could not believe when I heard that. Everybody's pissed because the director's 3 hours late because he was playing PlayStation.
Like, I don't blame him. Mortal Kombat 11 came out recently. I want to play.
So this movie is set for April 8, 2020.
Yeah, that's not
Is it staying there?
No.
The only reason why they could even potentially make that is if there was not a lot of posts. Which, I suppose, being a Bond movie, it is plausible because it's not going to be CGI heavy.
It's just true. I don't know how far they are into production, though, either.
Well, and they are also 5 weeks behind because of Craig's ankle.
Yeah, just finished the scene. Daniel Craig or James frickin' Bond.
Right?
Tom Cruise
Get
broke
through
it.
it.
Tom Cruise broke his ankle and
And
kept going.
left the scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just recast James Bond as Tom Cruise and let's move on with Bond 25.
Even if just for a scene or two
Yes.
in the movie.
No, just try to interject Idris Elba and see if anybody notices.
I would not. I would want
Take
that.
it.
Yeah.
I'll take Idris Elba's Bond.
Yeah. Next piece of news, we're going to keep up with our running story on Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell.
This is your running story, by the way. I'm just saying.
I'm a little excited for it.
Every time, even just the little pebble of news comes out, you're all like, yes!
I'm excited for it. We get a official poster and an actual theatrical release date.
Yeah. I didn't know about that there was a release date with it, so that's...
Yeah, it is getting a 3-night only Fathom Events screening
Well, that's...
of Rob Zombie's unrated version of this movie.
Okay.
Which,
Okay. I was going to say, so that's a good sign.
yeah, so September 16, 17, and 18 of this year. Before, I'm sure it'll go straight to VOD.
Oh, yeah. The next week.
Yeah, the 18th or 19th probably, yeah.
I know what I'm doing in September.
What?
I'm going to go see this.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm going to make it a set thing to go watch September, whatever, 16, 17, or 18.
I own the first two, and I enjoy the first two. I'm not going to, disregard this one.
Yeah. See, I am not a fan of Rob Zombie as a filmmaker. The one that I liked the most, and surprised me that I liked the most, was Lords of Salem. I actually really enjoyed Lords of Salem. And to an extent, 31, which really surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah. I'm behind on his last two.
Yeah.
31 and Lords of Salem,
Yeah.
but the one that got me, because before that I had watched, his
Just
Halloween.
Don't just forget about Halloween. Halloween nerd
You
over here.
can't forget about it, Brian, unfortunately. But House of a Thousand Corpses is really bad, too.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It is obviously his first movie that he ever made.
Yeah.
That is for sure. But then once he hits Devil's Rejects, I think that's his sweet spot. He needs to stay in that.
Everybody, not everybody, but a wide portion of people really enjoy that one, and that one gets
Which one? Devil's Rejects?
Devil's Rejects. Yeah, it gets a lot of acclaim.
It's a lot grittier, I think.
Yeah.
I just, as much as people like to give crap about House of a Thousand Corpses, and I've said this before, is that I look at with the exception of Halloween, because that was an established franchise, I look at Rob Zombie movies as if modern rock was to make a 1950s horror movie, this is what it would be. And it is, all it is just, it's time shifted. These are the exact same kind of movies that would have been the exploitation movies of 30 years ago.
Big time grindhouse movies. Is what
Absolutely grindhouse movies, including House of a Thousand Corpses. And that's how I look at them. And you potentially might not have Rainn Wilson if it wasn't for House of a Thousand Corpses. I'm just saying.
I don't think that role got him the role in The Office, but I get what you're saying.
I like that hill, though. Yeah. I like that hill. His movies are, they are there. But I think that's a really good point. They're totally the grindhouse exploitation films.
Going off that,
hold on. And you make the reference about 31 and Lords of Salem.
Yeah.
Those are the low budget, independent, I'm going to make whatever the fuck I want to make,
right,
and not worry about what the studio says. Because you guarantee that the reason why, you probably hate on, Halloween as much as you do, guarantee the studio had a lot more input on that than what he was doing when he decided he was going to do Lords of Salem or do 31.
Actually, I think every Rob Zombie movie is a Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah.
Like these are the movies he envisioned from the beginning, and he made them. Even with Halloween and Halloween 2, especially Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Halloween 2 is not a Halloween movie; it's a Rob Zombie movie.
Big time. Lords of Salem feels a lot like it's a product of the 70s. Like it totally feels like a 70s horror.
Yeah,
film.
and that's the way I picture
kinda love
all
it
of
for
these.
that. Yeah.
But where he hits it right for me is Devil's Rejects is straight out of the 70s, and that's why I'm excited for 3 from Hell.
Yeah. So I will be excited to hear what you guys think about this. Like I probably will see it on VOD, but it's not one I'm going to try and see out in theaters.
Me and Brian are going to dress up as Captain Spaulding,
Yeah,
and we're
please
going to
do.
go. Yes.
I don't want to dress up as a clown.
You can be Bill Moseley's character then. That's all right. We're going to jump to a next piece of news. This one's for you, Brian.
This one's for me.
We indulged in my type of news.
Thank you.
Let's indulge in yours.
Thank you.
Because Jordana Brewster will officially return in Fast and the Furious 9.
Yeah, they just started production a few days ago, and because Vin Diesel is all about his social media and all that fun stuff, he actually posted a video on Instagram basically welcoming not only her, but then also baby Brian, which, based on the age of Brian, played by this little kid named Isaac, we're getting pushed out at least 3-4 years. Because this kid's up and talking, and he's got a big old head of hair on him, and cute little kid and all, but, I mean, at least it kind of gives you an idea of how far we're going. You know, it's been a few, to me, it almost, just by this video alone, just makes it look like they're keeping the timeline of when, like, you know, Fate ended, and, you know, they're not just jumping in and it's the next day. It's literally, our time has passed, so will this. My only concern is, how do you introduce Mia back into these movies with no Brian?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I like that she's returning. You know, she was there from the beginning. It's right to give her a part.
It's right to give her a closure when they finish these movies, too.
Yeah. I think it creates a very big problem that I'm interested to see where they're going to come up with a solution for.
Especially if they don't want to acknowledge that he's passed. Because if they decide to add that to the story that Brian has passed away. But, I mean...
and that's where I've said this over and over and over and over again, and I understand the way they ended 7 to give him his fond farewell and everything like that, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It is the kind of thing where you're like, I'm not supposed to cry at an action movie. Stop doing this, you assholes. But because of the way the movies are designed for the sake of family and everything like that, that was one of my only gripes of like Fate of the Furious is all this crap going on with Vin or with Dominic and everything like that. Brian's just not going to just not show up.
Right.
They unfortunately should have killed off his character.
No, I disagree with that.
And I think you did the last time too.
Because I think they did Fate of the Furious right. Just don't mention him.
They did mention him.
But don't bring up like, where's Brian? Why isn't he helping? He's off with his family. Let it, like, unfortunately for Jordana Brewster, that would mean she's done in these movies.
Right.
That sucks.
But that's where my conflict is with this. I want her to be in these movies because she been a part of these movies from the get-go. But because her character is so tied to Paul Walker's, how do you bring her back and not bring back him? Since you can't, you know,
unless they use his brother and then as a body double.
There better be some serious ass, like, figure out how they're gonna write this shit together.
Yeah, yeah. Are they just gonna say no? Brian's at home.
He's taking care
of the new baby.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, at this point, right? Based on the age from watching the video, based on the age of this baby Brian, Isaac, that's gonna put Jack at 10, 11, and
How do you still remember their names?
Because I like
He watches it every day.
I like these fucking franchises.
I know, I like them too, but I'm like, how do you remember that name?
Because it's Jack. I don't remember what they named the baby, but you know, that's gonna put Jack at like 10, 11. That's gonna put the baby at probably older than my kids, 6, 7. You know, or that might even make Jack even older. So I don't know. It'll be curious to see how they roll this out.
It'll definitely be interesting to see what they do with it. So that movie is set for May 22, 2020. That will definitely hit its release date, if not a little earlier, as the Fast and Furious movies do.
They just chugged through production on those ones.
Universal won't move that date. Guarantee it. They own that part of the year with
The first blockbuster in May, yeah.
Yep, yeah, they're not gonna move that.
All right, so let's jump to our last two pieces of news. We got a couple trailers that came out this week. The first one being Charlie's Angels, the Elizabeth Banks directed film.
All right, start shitting on it.
No, I want to hear the good part first. I want to hear why you guys liked it.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to necessarily say that I liked it, but I didn't hate it. I get what they're going for, and I feel like this is a series that is always going to be subject to reboots pretty much every 10 years or so. I like the casting choice. I don't know who the third one is, but I like Kristen Stewart and I like Naomi Scott. I think it kind of gives Kristen Stewart the opportunity to do something, which she's done. Personal Shopper and Clouds of Sils Maria, like indie movies, she is just a champ. So it's kind of nice to have her in a blockbuster where people can see that she has, kind of grown as an actress, even though this might not necessarily be the property to kind of show that off.
No, but at the same time, even for the little bit you watch of the trailer, to me it actually feels like there's actually more emotion in this 2-minute trailer than there was in the first 3 Twilight movies.
Right.
At least it for me shows that she has grown as an actress since Twilight.
Yeah. And that she's having fun, and I don't feel like we saw her have fun at all in any of those Twilight movies.
No.
The one thing I will kind of say in, kind of knocking this a little bit, is that it does feel just tonally completely the same way that the 2000 Charlie's Angels series did, where it's just,
It was a little flat.
Yeah.
We just need Crispin Glover again.
It's them showing that they're energetic instead of actually being energetic. And like the trailer is cut fast, and it's like, just do it. Just be an action movie and exist as a fun action movie, and we'll go along for the ride with you. Don't try and show us how cool you are.
Have you seen any of the some of the photoshopping and memes of that movie poster though?
No, I haven't. But
everybody is just all like, so I guess Elizabeth Banks has something to do with this, because obviously if you open it up, if you look at that trailer big enough, or that poster there big enough, Casey, you'll see Elizabeth, directed by Elizabeth Banks, but down at the bottom, directed by, and then written by, or whatever, blah blah blah. Open that back up.
They're banking hard on her name on the poster.
Oh no! So the one Photoshop that I saw, right, up at the top where it says "Unseen, Undivided, Unstoppable," it just said Elizabeth Banks, Elizabeth Banks, Elizabeth Banks, and then everything else where there's a name, there was just Elizabeth Banks. Because at first I hadn't seen the official poster yet, and I was like, oh, so that must be where they put the ladies' names. I'm like, oh shit, that's funny as hell.
It would be fun to have a poster like that, and then have Elizabeth Banks
as all 3 of them.
Photoshopped into all 3 of the angels.
I bet you I bet you it's buried somewhere in Reddit right now.
Yeah. Speaking of Elizabeth Banks, that's kind of where my problem is going to come in with this trailer.
Why?
I don't trust her as an action director. She has Pitch Perfect 2 under her belt so far,
and 3.
She didn't direct 3 though, did she?
Yeah.
I think the third one was the one that she directed.
She at least did 3,
and that was a definite.
No, she only directed 2.
Huh, I'll be damned.
Yep.
And something, I don't know.
Well.
And that one's not great. Not great. I thought the first Pitch Perfect is very charming.
Perfect?
I did. The first one is charming.
Right.
It's a fun movie.
It's because it's Adam Devine.
Yes, he was really fun in that. But all the ladies in that movie are very good.
Right.
Anna Kendrick is great.
Yeah.
But the second one is starts to go
It's
where
going
it's
downhill.
really fast.
2 is better than 3, but that's not really saying a whole lot.
Yeah, she is also all over this trailer.
Yeah.
Like that makes me worried how much she's going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, considering who she plays, she has to be dumbass.
But there are multiple
she's not one of
Bosleys, I think.
Yeah,
No,
she's not one of the angels though.
No,
she has
she-
more screen time than most of, I would say anyone but Kristen Stewart. She has the most screen
Right.
time in this trailer.
But I guess since it's been a day or two since I've seen the trailer, but I was just like, your main characters could be Charlie, the Angels, and Bosley. So I'm gonna expect to see her sufficient enough time in
The movie is also not called Bosley. It's called Charlie's Angels. I want to see Charlie's
You know
Angels.
what? Better movie. Let's
Just call it
let's see
Bosley.
Bosley.
Yes. Kristen Stewart, I think, looks really good in the trailer.
Yeah.
I'll give it
Yep.
that. That would be the... I'm not going to go watch this.
Yeah.
But if I were, it would be to watch her. And Naomi Scott is super underrated.
And it's one where it's like, what does this open against? And if there's nothing else that weekend, this will probably be what I go see. But it's right now, it's not at the on my priorities.
No. Let's jump to the next trailer that we got just today as we record. Jumanji.
Yeah.
The Next Level.
Yeah.
Who wants to start this off?
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, one of the things I absolutely appreciated about the first one was The Rock playing the insecure nerd, and Jack Black playing the superficial white girl. But to turn around and have The Rock fucking playing Danny DeVito, and
He is just straight up playing Danny DeVito.
It is awesome.
and even on top of that though, Kevin Hart's impersonation of Danny Glover is beautiful.
Spot on.
It makes me like Kevin Hart.
Right. Yeah, me too.
And then you find out that Fridge, instead of encompassing the Kevin Hart body again, he ends up in the Jack Black body. He's like, really? No.
Like the overweight middle-aged man.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
like the only one who ends up getting into the body that she was in before is the girl that is played by Karen Gillan.
Yeah.
But no, everything about this. But the one thing I'm entertained by is the lack of Spencer. The kid that plays Spencer is just based on the trailer, you can figure out he's obviously been sucked into this game, but the 4 roles are filled. So who is he playing?
Yeah. Right.
Because I almost pictured them turning him into the villain.
Yeah. That could be.
Why else would you leave him out?
Right, and there was a flash of Aquafina in the trailer, like just for us.
Oh, I forgot she cast in there.
And I think Nick Jonas was in there too. I think he's back for this.
Yeah,
one.
he was supposed to be. So it's either Spencer is in as the Nick Jonas character,
Right.
or he's the bad guy or something.
Yeah.
Because if you're putting Danny DeVito and Danny Glover in this thing, because I guess I don't remember or saw that they were cast, but yeah, I'm sold.
Yep.
I briefly remember Danny DeVito.
I don't remember
something with The Rock mentioning it.
mentioned his name.
Yeah. After I just realized watching this trailer who plays the main character, Alex Wolff.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, just let him be himself.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone else play him. Let
Right.
him be the
Just let
villain.
him
Then.
show up.
Yes. Because he is fantastic in Hereditary.
Yeah.
If he were to be the villain in this Jumanji game, go for
That'd
it.
be cool.
Go for it.
I had, I was ready for Jumanji. Like, I enjoyed Welcome to the Jungle. I thought it was fun, but I didn't love it, And I was kind of like, oh, well, I guess they're going to do another one. For what it was.
For being a movie that people were scared of a sequel for something that was a Robin Williams movie, it was better than I expected.
Surprisingly
It was a lot better than I expected. I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd for stupid, for the sake of like a comedy or like an action movie. Like, it's total popcorn movie.
Yep.
It's not meant to have a whole lot of substance. It's gonna have the plot holes, all that shit, whatever.
Right.
So I walk into the movie going, I enjoyed it. Done. I don't care about the rest and whatnot. So when I heard they're doing the second one, I'm like, bring me Rampage 2 while you're at it.
This trailer, I haven't watched Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
But it makes me want to watch that just so I can go watch this.
Yeah. Because this makes it look a lot
By my previous statement, Jack Black is a high school white girl.
No, yes, that is the one reason I would want to watch that first Jumanji. But now The Rock playing Danny DeVito is the reason I want to watch this one.
Yep.
He had to have watched a whole lot of It's Always Sunny to prepare for this role.
He probably didn't have to. He probably already does.
Yeah, that's true.
That seems like the kind of show that he would be
that
watching.
The Rock would watch, yeah. All right, so Jumanji, The Next Level, comes out this December 13th.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
That's the week before, or week and a half before Star Wars, so I might fit that one in.
All right, guys. Are we ready?
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. We're going to get into cult movies. It's going to get a little bit dark, a little disturbing.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Or maybe movies about cults.
Yeah. Yes, please don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
All right. So who wants to? I want to have Andy start this off. We're gonna jump in. We all have 5 films. I'm cheating a little with one of them. Maybe we'll see. But there's no rules here. We're like, whose line is it anyway? Yeah. So Andy, number 5. What do you got for movies that involve cults?
So when I think of movies about cults, my brain instantly is like horror movies. Those are the ones where they deal with a lot of dedicated fervor, I guess is the best way to put it without using the keyword of religion. But I like, I actually have a couple that are not horror movies on my list, and I'll save those ones for the end. But for me, the first one that I'll go with is called The Sacrament. This is by Ty West. It is a found footage horror film that is very, very close to I would guess, fictional retelling of the Jonestown, the Jim Jones cult. This movie is chilling. I really enjoy, when they're done well, I think the found footage genre is a lot of fun. And this one, because it's set up to be a documentary, mockumentary, I guess, in this case, it all makes sense that the people would have cameras. It makes sense that there would be footage. And yeah, it's been a long time since I saw this one, but a couple weeks ago I turned on a Shudder and just went to whatever their live stream was, and they were airing The Sacrament. It was like in the last 10 minutes, and I had to watch the end of it. I just think this one's really cool, and it's not super gory, but I mean, once it gets to the end, it kind of rolls into that, what are they gonna do? But yeah, it's probably one of the best fictional retelling of the Jonestown thing that I've seen.
Yeah, this filmmaker, for one, Ty West, is a big blind spot for me in modern horror.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen, out of just looking at his list of movies, Cabin Fever 2.
Right.
Is the only one I've seen. But I know I'm missing out on a lot of things.
You watched Cabin Fever 2 on purpose?
Unfortunately. I had just watched the first Cabin Fever, so it's like, let's watch the second one.
I think I first heard of him somehow through You're Next. Like, I don't remember if he's in You're Next or if he helped write You're Next. And that kind of opened my eyes up, because I think a lot of the cast or people involved with You're Next are kind of indie horror people. And Joe Swanberg, I think, had something to do with You Were Next. And yeah, it just kind of opened my eyes to that whole branch of people.
Yeah, he's in You're Next.
Yeah,
he's
right.
the filmmaker, the douchey filmmaker.
So, I mean, that's kind of where I first heard of him. And then you just kind of, your ears perk up when you see his name mentioned somewhere else. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I think I just kind of watched it by chance one day, just because, we're horror guys. Sometimes if you hear a title that looks appealing, you're going to sit down and watch it no matter what, and that's where I was with this one.
No, I just need to sit down and watch this one. This one's been on the watch list for a very long time.
Yeah.
Probably should have jumped into it before we talked about cult movies, but I think that is a good thing that we're going to, almost 15 different movies we could have here, so maybe something will pop up on other people's lists that we haven't seen yet, so that's definitely one of these movies for me.
You make the reference of it's been on your watch list for so long. Wouldn't you think you have watched it by now?
I will watch it as soon as we're done with this podcast.
I don't believe him.
No, literally, if something we talk about on the podcast hooks me, it's like, I need to go watch it.
It's funny how that happens, though, how you have movies that I wanted to watch that for years.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, if you really wanted to watch it, wouldn't you get to it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there are movies that come out every week.
Yep. All right, Brian, are you ready, or you want me to go?
You can go.
All right.
I've got one, but you can
got
go.
one? All right. For me, I'm going to go also with a horror film, imagine that.
Shocker.
Surprisingly, not all of mine are horror.
Are you feeling okay today?
All but one are, but I think that goes along with the topic that we are talking about. For me, mine is 2014's Last Shift. So this movie I first watched on Netflix. It just, I don't know, something about the premise hooked me. and it's
It was
basically
a horror movie.
and it is a horror movie. But it's about this cop that's on her first night of duty. She's locked into the old precinct as they get ready to transition to a new one. So she basically just has to sit there overnight, and that's when a lot of creepy shit happens. It's based on the Manson family, possibly the most famous cult out there. And
Manson had a cult?
He did have a cult. He also had a record. So this movie is directed by Anthony DiBlasi, who is a very, very underrated horror director.
What was something else that he directed?
Extremity.
Okay, yeah, that's one that's another one that's on my list.
Yeah, that one's great as well. Yeah. But this movie, it made me want to watch anything he does after.
Nice.
I love when movies do that.
I just wrote that one down so I can watch it.
Yeah, I think it's still on Netflix. If not, it is actually on Shudder right now.
Sweet.
But this movie, it is, for me, movies that I guess that can also, they can reach mass audiences and scares, but also get us horror nerds to love it too.
Yeah.
Are just really fun to find. And I think this movie does it perfectly because there is just some creepy shit. But then there is also just stuff that horror fans are going to love in it. And that there is a final scene in it that will just hit you right in the gut at the end. And it's awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah. The final scene, if you have seen it, it almost, just the way it's shot reminds me of, for some reason, reminds me of the Arkham Batman games. How you're fighting criminals. And just the way they're talking to each other as you're going through the dark. Ooh. It reminds me of that for some reason.
That's a weird.
It is a very weird analogy to look at.
I'm that's one of those things you just sit there and go, I'm not quite sure how we got from over there to over there.
Yeah.
But he somehow got there.
I got there. If you watch it, it might make sense if I throw that out there. So
I might do that tonight then.
It's a really fun movie.
Do you play the Batman games?
No, I do. I have played the Batman games. I
know what you're talking about in terms of like this, the people talking and everything like that.
Like the goons talking to each other, and you're kind of sneaking around. That's It reminded me of that. Just the sound editing within it. So I don't know, something random about it. Cool. But definitely check it out. Last Shift, as I said, might be on Netflix yet. For sure on Shudder. Brian, are you ready?
I've got one.
All right.
I got one. I am going to go with, and actually, I appreciate you for you bringing this up because I'm an airhead for not having thought about this sooner, and that is Red State by Kevin Smith.
I also brought it up because I want to talk about it
because it's fucking Red State. It's the first time that Kevin Smith did something that was, I mean, I'm sure it has its funny moments. Don't deny that at all. But the first time where you're actually like, he's a demented motherfucker. Obviously this is going to be a weird comparison, but to have this be the first thing that is out of Kevin Smith that was not comedy, to like say Jordan Peele and Get Out, to go, these funny people are probably in need of some serious help. One thing, I think if anything, it shows there's a very, very thin line between what is horror and what is comedy. Right. Absolutely. In terms of everybody that was in this movie, you're talking about a $4 million movie, a low budget movie. The caliber of the cast that he has, and of course he's got a couple of people that are in this movie because, well, hell, they're my friends. I'm going to put them in everything. Ralph Garman, his wife, is in this. But Michael Parks, Melissa Leo, John Goodman, all put Oscar-worthy performances. Melissa Leo herself alone should have been nominated for this movie.
Yeah.
But it is the kind of movie, it's the kind of low-budget crime movie that's like, next year maybe, that somebody would be like, you don't get nominated for movies like that.
No, I'm gonna back up your statement on that. Michael Parks is just killer in this movie.
Yes, that's right.
Top-notch acting.
Yeah.
If personally myself, I'm not even 100% sure if I even knew who Michael Parks was until it was him working with Kevin Smith and Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Because his work with Tarantino's Kill Bill, like, you would not realize he plays two different people because of how much different he looks between those two parts. And then to turn around and then to play the priest in this, his work in Tusk,
Makes Tusk watchable.
Yeah.
Justin Long as a walrus makes Tusk watchable, but that's a whole different thing. No, I mean, this Red State is a mix of a horror movie, the cult movie, all sorts of just, it's so many things rolled into one. To me, it almost seemed like the kind of thing where Kevin Smith, if I'm never going to make another movie again, I'm going to literally throw everything in the kitchen sink at it and just to see what sticks. And I personally think he hit it out of the park. Granted, not everybody agrees with me. But that's because everybody just sees Kevin Smith as the comedy guy, as the Jay and Silent Bob type.
No, this is definitely not Jay and Silent Bob. The thing that sticks out to me is the weird ending and what could have been for the ending. Because have you heard about what he actually wanted to do? He wanted to go a lot bigger with that ending. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
But he wanted it to end with basically the apocalypse happening, and then the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse ride in.
Oh, wow.
No, but I tell you what, the ending he did shoot, and he probably changed it up, probably because of budget.
That's exactly why he changed it up, yeah.
But no, the ending about the fucking horns making him go off is that little cherry on the top where it's like, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it down a little bit here. Let's get you guys brought down a little bit here and just kind of give it a little bit of a laugh at the very end. Do you remember where they had in speaking in regards to the budget, where they had like the calf head or whatever on the guy?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's been forever since I've seen this movie.
So, no, when he was making that, this is one of the things that I got to hear in the Q&A when I got to see this. I actually get to see in the theater when it was on tour with Kevin Smith doing our Q&A, and it was amazing.
Did you ask him a question?
No, I did not.
You suck.
I know. But no, he's talking about how he had this whole thing about this head that he wanted to do, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, the special effects guy comes he's like, that head or whatever is going... This is the part where it definitely tells you how it works when it comes to low-budget movies. He goes, what you're asking for is going to cost me $5,000. Okay, cool, go for it. He goes, that's my entire budget. So they literally had to come up with a different alternative, and that's what we got in the movie. I love it.
Yeah, it is definitely the most out there of the Kevin Smith movies.
Have
even
you
more
seen Tusk?
I would say even more than Tusk or Yoga Hosers.
Yeah.
I think those are very dark comedies. This one has comedic elements, but I think it is first and foremost it's a straight up horror movie.
Oh, it's a straight up thriller. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so that's Brian's number 5, Red State. I need to go back and rewatch this.
That's one I'll have to put back on my list to watch again.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
All right, Andy.
Number 4.
Number 4.
I'm going to go with another. I think a lot of people might not consider this a horror movie, but I think that really is just depending on what people's definition of horror movies are. My number 4 is Karen Kusama's The Invitation. This is the story of a man who is invited to a dinner party held by his ex-wife, and once he gets there, he comes to find that she has dramatically altered her life because of the teachings of this kind of self-help guru. And they want to enlighten him and enlighten all of their other friends. And it turns out that the ex-husband, kind of has an assumption as to what it is that's actually going on here. And maybe he's not wrong. This is it's very wordy. It's a very, very talky movie. And it doesn't really kind of turn into anything super horror related, really, until it gets to the ending of the film. But for me, once I got to that ending, I was just on the edge of my seat, just ready to see how things are going to turn out. The main star of this movie, and I'm going to forget his name off the top of my head, but he was also an Upgrade last year.
Logan Marshall?
Yes. He is great. He is really great. People like to call him low-budget Tom Hardy, but I think it's value Tom Hardy because he's really, really good for the money that he probably draws. But yeah, I think The Invitation is really good. Very, very smart and kind of shows... I didn't love Jennifer's body, But I have liked...
Not many people did.
Yeah, but I've really liked the stuff that Karen Kusama has done since.
It's gotten a cult following.
Yeah, it really has.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched it again after kind of hearing all of that. And yeah, I still didn't really like it. But The Invitation and Destroyer, for that matter, are both awesome. Yeah, this is a super cool movie.
This is also my number 4.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, The Invitation is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I talked about the ending of Last Shift, but this ending
Yep.
is killer. It is one of the best endings to horror movies I have seen in the last decade. It's just the way it ends. It hits you like right in the gut.
Yeah.
You're sitting there just the world that it builds just with a final shot is perfect.
And the thing too is it's like, up until the point where everything turns, you don't know if it's really, if this guy is just kind of paranoid or if things are really what he thinks they are.
Yeah.
And then when everything turns, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that last, like the last maybe minute or so where you see just how far this goes, yeah, really unsettling.
No, I love this movie. This movie is fantastic. It is, I don't know if I would necessarily call it a slow burn, but as you said, it's very talky. Mm-hmm. It's very much about what the characters are saying and doing in that moment. It's pretty much, I guess it is set entirely in that house.
Yeah.
Besides a few flashbacks
Right.
But yeah, besides that, it's set with these characters at this dinner party, and it hooks you right away. It hooks you. Yeah, and Logan Marshall Green is fantastic in it. We also have to bring up, I'm going to screw up his name. I'm pretty sure it's Michael
Huisman. Yeah, Huisman. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in The Haunting of Hill House, and he's fantastic in that as well. He's great in this movie.
Yeah.
He's such a swarmy guy.
And is it John Carroll Lynch who plays the kind of, I guess, heavy, for lack of a better word, kind of the creeper guy?
Yeah, the guy he invites that no one else knows who he is.
Yep.
From the self-help group. Yep.
Yeah, really good low budget cast. Like none of these people are huge stars, but they're all people that you can super rely on. And yeah, such a good movie.
Yeah, Brian, have you heard of this movie?
No, I have not.
You need to watch. It might be on Netflix. Is it still on Netflix?
It's still on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah, this movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't watched The Invitation, go watch it right now. Stop listening to us. We're not as important as that.
We'll be here. Yeah. Come back to us after an hour and a half.
So that is Andy's number 4, The Invitation. I'll take it as my number 4 as well, The Invitation.
Wow.
Yeah. So Brian's gonna have that.
So now I'm 15. It's only 14.
Yep. Now it's your turn. I think we'll have a few more overlaps.
Well, with you two, I'm not surprised. All right, where's my thing? There it is. I'm gonna go. I gotta get you out of your groove of your horror movies. I'm just saying, and I'm gonna go with Hot Fuzz because who doesn't love a good action movie with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost?
Who doesn't? 12-year-old me who hated this movie.
Oh.
What is you now think of this movie?
Oh, I think this movie's fantastic.
Yeah, okay. It's weird.
I was not ready for the gore when my aunt and uncle showed me this movie. Like the part where they push the top of the church piece over onto the guy and just goes into him. Like, holy shit! I was not ready for that. Because this movie is what? What year did this come out?
2007.
So I was 13 when I probably saw this. So.
Wow.
Yeah, that was probably the first like real gore thing that got me. But now when I watch it, I love it.
Right. Which is funny because this is, I mean, it has a little bit of the gore, but that's not what it is about. And so the fact that that's what got you, I think is what's kind of entertaining. Because I looked at this movie and I'm like, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are playing cops.
I also had never seen anything that they were in.
You hadn't seen Shaun.
I didn't understand British comedy at that point either.
You didn't. So by that time, you hadn't seen Shaun of the Dead yet.
No.
Oh.
It was just some movie they rented on the first weekend it came out, and we watched Hot Fuzz.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you probably would have gone in with this slightly different precedence if you had seen Shaun of the Dead first.
Probably.
Timothy Dalton is fantastic in it.
He needs to be in more stuff like this, though.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially when you people like us look at Timothy Dalton and it doesn't even matter what the hell he's done. He's just James Bond. So to see him and like to play the bad guy, like I want to see him That's one thing I liked about At World's End, the next one in the Cornetto trilogy. Pierce Brosnan is the bad guy. I'm like, how many Bonds is Edgar Wright going to turn into villains?
Let's get Sean Connery in the next one.
That's right.
He's retired. He won't act.
No,
anymore.
he's gonna come back for Edgar Wright's next movie.
I was just about to say, I was like, well, then, maybe Daniel Craig. Well, Daniel Craig is in Knives Out. No, that's Rian Johnson. Never mind. My brain is split between Rian Johnson and Edgar Wright.
That is a very weird split.
I don't know why.
That is
because I think they both have kind of Crime Capers are their next films.
Baby Driver.
Yeah, Baby Driver. But Edgar Wright has something else. I think it's a Crime Caper plan next. But I don't know where my brain went there. I was super excited that I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't.
Hot Fuzz might be my favorite. I haven't seen the At World's End yet, but I like it more than Shaun of the Dead even.
Wow.
Looking at it now, I think it is a perfect parody of action movies while also being an action movie.
Yeah.
It's perfect. There's an awesome Point Break reference, so that's perfect for me.
A reference? I wouldn't even necessarily call that a reference. That's just a straight out shout out to Point Break.
Yeah. So every time I watch Point Break now, I do exactly what Nick Frost does and just throw my hands up in the air and shoot the gun like Keanu. It's amazing. Also, Point Break is the greatest movie ever made. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Hot Fuzz?
Go buy it. Go watch it.
No, it's awesome. Yeah. Awesome movie.
All right, that's Brian's number 4, Hot Fuzz. Andy?
Brings it back to me.
I'm disturbed that Google knows that I'm subscribed to Netflix.
Google knows everything, Brian.
So I think, I think what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and wrap up my horror movies instead of throwing in a drama here. And this one,
letting it fester.
This might be a bit of a stretch because this is just the segment of a horror anthology that I think is badass. This is from VHS 2, and this is the segment Safe Haven. This is directed by Timo Tijajanto and Gareth Evans. Gareth Evans, who directed The Raid and The Raid 2. This is the story of a documentary crew, again, that goes to film the happenings of an Indonesian cult. And they get caught up in some crazy, crazy shit. This is one, if you can't stand the sight of blood, don't watch this one at all. Because this is a gore fest. And it is like, I like the VHS series. But for me, looking at that picture, oh man. I like the VHS series, but for me, this is the standout by a long shot because it is fucking nuts. It is just nuts. And when it completely just goes full out bonkers at the ending, I still love it. Like this is one you have to see to believe. I can't just say, "Oh, it's about this." No. That does not do it any justice. So if you can find VHS 2 somewhere, watch the rest of it because it's fine, but Safe Haven is fucking nuts.
It's on Hulu.
I love it. Yeah, I love this one.
No, it's ridiculous how good VHS 2 is overall because there's the zombie segment.
Is that the bike one?
Yes.
Oh my god.
The webcam on the bike, it's so good.
That one is so good.
But yeah, this is the best segment in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will 100% agree with this choice. I think it fits the criteria of what a cult movie definitely would be.
Right.
And this being 15-20 minute segment is perfect. The first 2 VHS movies are really good horror anthologies.
Viral is so bad.
After that, they're really bad.
Just forget that Viral exists.
But if you want, you can get it on Hoopla if you've got a library card.
Please don't. Go rent a book instead.
Watch something better for free.
But no, this segment in VHS 2 is great. If you haven't watched the VHS movies, period, there are fun horror anthologies. Definitely go watch them.
Yeah, and you can split them into segments. Like if you've only got a few minutes to spare and you don't want to watch the whole thing in once, because they are basically short horror films kind of put together. They're totally worth the time.
Yeah, there is actually from the first, since we're talking about VHS and we haven't talked about it yet on the show, I want to talk about it. There's a segment in the first VHS with the siren.
Yes.
There's a spin-off movie.
And I haven't seen that.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
A spin-off of no one has seen this VHS movie. It's actually really good.
And that's one of my favorite segments in that first one is that sirens.
I think it's actually just called Siren.
Probably, yeah.
I think I have it somewhere. Anyway, go watch VHS,
Yeah.
please.
Good movie series.
So what you're saying is
Except
I should
viral.
put these on my watch list.
Yes.
Please.
Do it now.
Do it.
And then next thing you know, I'll be just crying in a corner by the sounds of
You
it.
probably will be. I'm actually going to get away with horror with my next pick here.
Oh, real quick question.
Yes.
You may or may not. He might know this answer because he's old enough to know better.
Yeah, I'm old.
You, on the other hand, because based on what you guys are saying and what I envision from like when we were kids, is Faces of Death.
Well,
I'm going to assume these are a lot more well produced.
Oh yeah. And the thing with Faces of Death is that I remember that they really marketed that as being this is real.
More of like the snuff stuff.
Yeah, and it's a found footage horror movie. I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah, 'cause
Very
those-
loosely tied segments.
Right.
Because the Faces of Death, that was well before Blair Witch even created the subgenre.
Yeah. And I think with Faces of Death, it's more of it wants to make it seem like it's a documentary, and I think with these ones, they're more like it's found footage.
Because
You know,
I tell you what,
way.
as a kid, going to Video Mania, renting the first Faces of Death, I got through like 2 segments. I'm like, I'm out.
I had not seen Faces of Death until my first foray into college, and it was a drunken evening
And they're
with
disturbing.
and with Marilyn Manson. We put Marilyn Manson on the stereo, and then had Faces of Death playing on the TV, and I was like, I'm ready for bed.
That's a party right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As much as you absolutely love your horror, and again, it's been literally decades since I've seen any of that, I guarantee you're going to feel so, want to go home and cry in your bed.
Now I need to watch it though.
I'm curious to watch it now, though, because
Yeah.
you watched it then at the time under the guise of it being real, but since it's come out, it's been like...
Or the
this
fact
is-
that we were probably in our teens at the time.
Right.
And the internet wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, and now since then there's been Martyrs and a Serbian film and movies like that where it's like, oh, I've watched someone swim in their own shit. I think I can get through, this movie. So, yeah, and I think Faces of Death is on Shudder right now, so if you have Shudder, you can...
Well, if it is,
on
Just
a
Watch
lot of
isn't pulling
things.
it up.
Oh, no!
No. This is something totally else. No, so far, I'm looking at just Watch right now, and I'm getting 0 results for it. I'm getting a bunch of for instance, I'm getting the ABCs of Death, for example,
Those
the
are
Woman in
bad.
Black kind of thing.
All right,
Okay.
let's move on to the next one. Non-horror right here. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
God damn you, motherfucker!
Yeah.
Did I steal one of yours, Brian?
More like we borrowed each other.
All right. So Temple of Doom. It's so much fun. I love this movie. It is actually my favorite of the Indiana Jones movies. Just to go back and rewatch.
Yeah.
I think it is probably because I like watching the messed up stuff in a horror movie.
Right.
Because this has a lot of it. And
And Temple of Doom, for as much as it is a cult movie, it's also very much on its ear. You watch this movie and you just want to laugh. To me, it's one of the funnier Indiana Jones movies.
no, I think it's perfect for what it is. It's an Indiana Jones movie based on the serials of the 30s. And I think Spielberg plays that up perfectly. If you can get past his wife in this movie,
Yeah, Kate Capshaw's rough.
yeah, that's all you have to get past, and everything else is great. I love this movie. It's dark, it's disturbing. They rip a guy's heart out.
I
amazing.
wonder if Kate Capshaw's rough because Karen Allen was so good in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's why we're kind of like, ugh. But yeah, she is kind of.
No, she's really annoying.
She's kind of
really
obnoxious
annoying.
in this movie.
No, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I still think is a lot of fun. One of my favorite things about it, just because I love... So I'm going to take a movie back to video games that has nothing to do with it.
Cool. I like how you do that.
Yeah, there is a...
Your freaking line drawing here is weird as hell.
This one's a little better than the other one.
Okay.
There's a minecart scene where they're racing through minecarts.
Yeah.
It reminds me of my favorite level in Donkey Kong Country.
That I can actually see that one though.
Yes.
I can see the mine carts. In
It's
Donkey
so
Kong
much
Country.
fun in playing that in Donkey Kong, and I played that as a kid so many times over and over, and then watching Temple of Doom after, I'm like, this reminds me of Donkey
Heck
Kong.
yeah.
More movies need minecart scenes.
Did you guys have HBO a lot when you were growing up? Did you have?
Yeah, we did in my house.
That was one that they played constantly.
Oh, yeah. And that's
that was,
probably-
I think, why I fell in love with that one so much.
We had HBO before we had a VHS player.
Yeah, we did too.
I even remember when we went to the store to buy the on sale VHS player for $400. And because the first VHS we bought was Batman for $30.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. No. I love how much technology has advanced. You're like, shit, I remember back when I was a kid. No, me personally, in regards to, Temple of Doom, the ripping of the heart thing out, whatever, as a kid, and when this came out, I look at the stuff now, and I see the comedy in it now, and how campy it is. As a kid, you're like, that dude scared the shit out of me.
Yep.
You look at it differently because of, it was already almost 20 years old by the time you even existed to even know what this movie was. But, as a kid and special effects the way they were, you're just like, don't piss off that guy. He knows how to rip out people's hearts and, crush them and stuff.
And he eats monkey brains.
He eats monkey brains, and the heart caught on fire.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Terrifying.
Well,
yeah.
no, see, and eating the monkey brains wasn't the terrifying part.
It's gross.
It was
when the faces moved on the monkeys.
Yeah.
That was the terrifying part. Like,
Yeah.
those assholes are still alive.
And then at the end, when they're on the bridge, he cuts the bridge, and people fall into the water.
Alligators.
They showed the alligators devouring these people. Yeah, I get why they created PG-13 for this movie because it's intense.
This
and
movie's so
wonderful.
much just fun.
Yeah.
It's just so much
Oh, yeah.
fun.
For as much as Spielberg likes to give shit to the MPAA and to the different things in life, like the whole Netflix thing and all that stuff, whatever, does he not realize that he created such a problem for some of us tweens at that time that wanted to go to see these movies, and then all of a sudden, you can't go see that anymore?
But come on.
Blame Spielberg.
Alligators.
Granted, by the time PG-13 existed, I was 13, but that was
You were-
okay.
You were safe. You were fine.
All right, so that's my number 3, Temple of Doom. Brian, do you want to go with your next one, or you want to take Temple of Doom as your...
Might as well just leave that as the number 3 and just keep on shuffling.
Keep on going on? All right. Andy, you're number 2.
All right, so now we're in drama category here.
Oh, shit.
So my last 2 cult films, movies about cults, will be a little heavier dramas. I'm going to go with Marcy May Marlene as my number 2. This one stars Elizabeth Olsen as a young woman who has escaped a cult after they have kind of put her through a bit of hell. It never really goes into deep detail as to how she joined this cult and to what their entire practice was, but it shows how it affected her and some of the things that she had to go through while she was in this cult. There's a scene in the film where they go break into a house to steal things, and the owner is actually there. And they end up killing the owner of this house. And because she is not completely programmed at that point, it really affects her, and that's what leads her to leave. And the film is kind of told back and forth through what's happening currently and what's going on with flashbacks when she was in the cult of how she is trying to adapt to life now that she has escaped. And so much of her behavior kind of stems from how she was treated while in that cult, and she does not quite behave the same way as is acceptable from the people that she's staying with. This is a really good movie. It's one that had been on my list to watch for quite some time, and because we were going to do this podcast, I decided it was time to bump that up, and I loved it. I just think this one is incredible. Really great performance from Elizabeth Olsen, who kind of since the release of this film has gone on to do maybe more generic movies, definitely part of the Marvel universe. But I hope that she gets a chance to do a movie like this again because she is incredibly talented and this movie is wild. So yeah, Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, excellent movie.
Yeah, every single list that I found while doing research for this topic had this movie on it.
Yeah, and I mean it is. It's very much it's a cult drama, and it just kind of deals with programming and trying to adapt to life outside of the comfort of that programming.
No, I have seen after seeing this on the list so many times and hearing you talk about it, it makes me want to just find it, watch it. Right now.
Yeah, and I don't think it's streaming anywhere, but I do have the Blu-ray. So next time I see you, maybe I'll have to let you guys borrow that.
Yeah, so that's Andy's number.
Andy
number
doesn't.
2.
Andy should not let us in his movie room.
Yeah,
that'd
be
He'd be
scary.
like, why is there a bunch of holes all over the place?
What happened? Where'd my movies go?
Where's my movies?
I gotta check the database.
All right, so my number 2. This is where I will cheat because Andy said there is no more horror movies on his list.
Yeah.
Knowing Brian, there's probably not any on his either. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe he'll surprise me. But I know he hasn't seen these 2 movies, so I think I'll be safe putting them
Okay.
there. I will go with Hereditary and Suspiria, the original.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? A 2-for-1 here? What the hell?
I am because I couldn't decide on one, and I didn't want to kick last shift
I think
off.
you're totally free to do it.
Yeah.
Do it and run with it.
If Blake could do it while he was here, I'm gonna steal it. I'm doing it. I
I've
don't
got a
care.
tie.
We'll start with Hereditary. This movie is it's everything that I hate to see in a movie, but yet you have to sit there and watch it. You sit there. That is exactly what the director does for this movie. Everything he throws out at the screen, you're gonna hate, but you need to sit there and you need to watch it. That makes you want to watch this even more, doesn't it?
Have you not seen this one yet, Brian?
I have not.
I gave him my digital copy of it, and it's
I
sitting there.
No, I've purposely been waiting because it's something where I know I need to sit down and watch it, and it's not something I can watch in pieces. So I'm waiting to probably closer to the end of the month here when things will shift it around and get everything settled in and whatnot, and then I can just sit down and watch.
But then you got Midsommar, Brian.
That's right.
Ari Aster's follow-up here coming up. That's the whole reason we're doing this. I think he likes his cult movies.
But you know why it's okay for Midsommar though? Because I can go to the theater and I can sit down and I can watch it uninterrupted.
Yeah.
Hereditary. It is just a fantastic film, and overall great directorial debut for him. And everybody in this cast is perfect. Toni Collette just kills it in this movie.
How she got snubbed come award season is painful.
Yes.
Just painful.
I have an answer for that.
The Oscars,
They don't like horror movies.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Again, Melissa Leo in Red State.
Yeah. But yeah, this was one that we saw in theaters, and I liked it right off the bat. My girlfriend, I don't know if she was super fond of it right after we watched it, but it stuck with her for the next several weeks, where she was like, "Don't leave, don't go anywhere,
Don't look in the corner for Toni Collette.
why is this happening to me?" And it's one that I think I've got to keep it in my collection, kind of hidden, just so she doesn't know where it is, because I think the fact that she knows it's in the house really pisses her off.
Yeah.
Does it creep her out that much?
Yeah, it really sat with her.
It is.
And
It's a movie
a
where
good
I'm
one.
glad it's an A24 movie. I'm glad I watched The Witch before, which I wasn't impressed with, but I didn't know what I was going into.
Right.
But after watching The Witch, I knew what I was kind of getting with these A24 horror
Yeah.
movies. So I think that helps, knowing you're in a slow burn. But that last 10 minutes, boom, it hits you
Yep.
and it goes.
Yeah.
It
it's
ramps it
crazy.
up to 100 really fast. And yeah, if you guys haven't watched Hereditary, I talked about it a million times before this. So
A million?
yes. But also, let's jump into Suspiria, the Dario Argento classic.
Awesome.
Blake would probably kill me for not having this at number 1. I'm sorry, Blake. That's why I wanted it on the list somewhere. It has to be on this list. For me, I'm just getting into the Giallo films, just within the last 6 months roughly, and finally watching Suspiria, it makes me understand why there is such a fan base and why these movies are so important. They're surreal, they're otherworldly, they're almost a fantasy watching these movies.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yes, thank you, Brian, for showing me where to find Suspiria.
Oh yeah, yeah. They feel very. It's a nightmare, but it feels like a a very hazy dream.
Yeah.
These ones. I've seen Suspiria and I've seen Torso, and then I've got a list of other ones that I have to watch as well. I watched
Deep Red.
Yeah, that's the one I really want to see.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that one. I watched Knife Plus Heart last week, and it's kind of a modern day like homage to the giallo horror films. And yeah, I thought it was good. I love the first Suspiria. I almost put the remake on my list just because it's so bonkers and so like just makes you cringe. But I wanted to try and give these other ones a little bit more love. But yeah, so the original and the remake of Suspiria, I think, are just awesome. Just awesome movies.
Yeah. My favorite thing about Suspiria, the soundtrack. The Goblin soundtrack
That
is
Goblin
amazing.
soundtrack is great.
It's amazing. The color palette is fantastic. That's
Yeah.
everything about this movie. And if you guys haven't watched Suspiria, please watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I need to watch the remake yet.
Yeah, I won a Blu-ray copy of the original Suspiria through Deep Discount DVD on their social media site. They were doing a contest. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I want to win this. I want to win this so bad. Here's whatever whatever you're supposed to say, and I won. And I was like, oh my god, life is good. Life is good. So yeah, good. It's such a good movie. Such a good movie.
I think the only thing I ever got out of Twitter was a T-shirt.
I try and enter all those contests just because I've won once. It's like, oh, maybe I will. And then
Yeah, you don't get anything out of Funko.
I won a DVD of season 2, a Blu-ray of season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Hey,
That was
all
fun.
right.
Yeah,
I need to watch that
that's it.
show.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
It's Bruce Campbell. How do
Yeah,
you go
right,
wrong?
I know.
I mean, he's one of the best things about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
It's so delightful.
All right, Brian, you're number 2.
By the way, you're an asshole.
Why?
Children of the Corn.
Oh, he does have a horror movie on here. Yeah.
Wow.
That makes me happy. I'm glad you brought this up. We'll talk about honorable mentions after, but I don't know if I have any left now.
Because it's Children of the Corn. It's one of those ones where it's like they need to just stop making sequels.
It's a very similar thing that they did with the Hellraiser franchise. They need to keep making it so that one day we'll make a actual theatrical version of this
So
again.
they hold on to the rights
Yeah.
and then
It's
just pump out bad
Anyway,
stuff.
so many bad sequels, but no, that original one, when the original Children of the Corn came out, that was back when it was kind of hit or miss with your Stephen King movie. Okay, granted that still is now, but in the
Dark Tower.
But he also had like zero control back then. At least, if Dark Tower is bad now, he has creative input. Kubrick getting a hold of like The Shining and stuff like that, he had no, whatsoever. It's one of the reasons why he decided I'm going to direct Maximum Overdrive.
That is a cocaine fest.
God, I love that trailer. But no, I mean, this movie is what would make you scared of children. Like, you would not want to go to Iowa and piss off some little, Amish-looking kid and be like, you know what, I'm going to get murdered at night.
We got those things in Iowa.
What, little Amish kids roaming around in the cornfields, or
Yes,
just the
with
cornfields?
pitchforks chasing after you.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn around.
Why
and go
Why
back
do
to
you
South
think I
Dakota.
don't go to Iowa?
That's what we have. We have Field of Dreams and Children of the Corn. That's all we got, Brian.
Okay, I do go to Iowa. My
there's no
sister lives
middle.
there.
No, Children of the Corn is a lot of fun. It's not a great movie, but I'm glad you brought it up because it is a ton of fun and it is a perfect cult movie.
Well, that's just it. I mean, it's well, hell, depending on what you call some of these movies here, none of them are perfect by all means, but it has its definite shining moments to it.
And I think that shining moment is Isaac.
See, and this is one that is in my blind spot. I have never seen Children of the Corn, so
As much weird shit as you
I know, right? And this is one that I have not seen. And I've been on this earth now for 38 years, so I think it's probably time.
I think
finally
it's still
watch
on.
this one.
It's on Netflix. I
Yeah.
think forever.
Yeah, but here's the question: which version? Because I mean, even the original's been remade like twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So this, I like this first original. It's fun. It's not great. Linda Hamilton is in it before
That's right.
Terminator 2, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. So if you guys haven't watched Children of the Corn, just watch it for Isaac. He's the best part. He's the leader of this cult.
Awesome.
It is not on Netflix.
Whoa, where is it?
It is on Hoopla and on Hulu.
Oh, good.
All right.
Good.
Actually,
All right.
I think the first time I saw it was on Hulu was when they started doing their Halloween, like 30 movies for horror or something like that.
Yeah. All right. We're down to the last three, the nitty gritty.
As everybody listening is like, finally, Jesus fuck.
This
Feels like we're in a cult right now.
Jeez.
All right, Andy.
All right.
The number one.
This is one. We've talked off the air before that, come the end of the year, we're probably going to get together and do something where we count down our favorite films of this decade. And as of right now,
This is one of them.
this may very well be my number one film of the decade, if not in the top two movies. Yeah, it might be in the top two. And I don't want to get us all put on a list here, but I'm going to do it anyway. My number one cult movie.
Do I need to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode?
I don't think so. I think we're going to be okay. My number one cult movie is Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. This stars Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is a fictionalized version of Scientology, where they are going through kind of the interview process, finding someone who's kind of had a rough life and vetting him and kind of ingraining him into their, I can't remember what the exact thing is called in the film, but it's like a way to reprogram his brain so that he will do the bidding of this cult leader played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. This movie is just incredible. Prior to this movie, I did not like Joaquin Phoenix. I thought he was kind of obnoxious as an actor and just not someone that I really saw. And this was, he had done Gladiator, he had done Walk the Line, so people loved him. But for me, he didn't do it for me. There is a series of scenes in this film where it's just him and Philip Seymour Hoffman acting off of each other. And how they interact with each other is so incredible that it has completely converted me to the church of Joaquin Phoenix. He is just awesome. Amy Adams is in this as well. Rami Malek has a small part in this. But it's a 3-hour long movie that is mostly talking, very much a drama, and not one that I don't think it will appeal to everyone. But I think if you're a fan of really great acting and just kind of watching how people deal with manipulation and trying to escape that manipulation, I think you'll really enjoy this one. I love this movie. I just think it's gorgeous. Paul Thomas Anderson is one of our best directors that we've got working today, and this is one of the jewels in his crown. So, The Master, that's my number one cult movie.
You made reference to something here, and I want to bring this up because I absolutely have to. Your disapproval of Joaquin Phoenix until you finally had the one that says, oh, "Okay, now I'm starting to get it."
Right.
You need to go further back in the archives.
We got Clay Pigeons. We got To Die For.
Nope.
Oh my God! Space Camp.
Yes.
Space Camp was great. I can't remember exactly what the young actress looked like, but I think this movie came out when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
86.
And I had so I was 5. And I had such a crush on one of the girls in this movie.
Let me guess.
I watched
it was the blonde.
Probably.
Yes.
Probably. But I think I just watched it like, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, Space Camp was...
If you have never seen this movie, Casey, I highly recommend it. Because...
Of all the movies we have talked about today, the one Brian is going to highly recommend...
you need to see
Space Camp.
is cheesy-ass Space Camp.
The reason why I bring this up is because, number one, it is literally like at the very beginning of his career, to the point where it's like, we're going to... Because if you look at it closely, it doesn't even have his real name on it. Because at the time, his parents were trying to get him in as like all his other siblings. He's the only one that has like a normal name, quote unquote, because he's listed as Leaf Phoenix, as in like the leaf of a tree.
No.
Is that his actual name, or is that his?
No, his real name is Joaquin.
Okay,
but
I think both are weird names.
but you figure with the rest of his family, like River River Phoenix and all that. All his other family member names are like freaking nature shit.
Is his parents hippies?
Probably. But, no, you're talking about that. I was like, oh, let me give you a Joaquin Phoenix here movie here.
Man, like Space Camp and Cloak and Dagger
Yes.
and Howard the Duck, like those movies
They were so bad, they were
they're
great.
terrible, but I love them. They're like they are. They hold on to a part of my heart that I don't think I'll ever be able to get rid of.
Those are cult movies in a different
those are
sense.
different cult movies.
But at least Howard the Duck and Space Camp both have Leah Thompson in them.
Yep.
That
It may have been Leah Thompson that I had that crazy crush on.
well,
with Space Camp.
considering you're talking at the time of Back to the Future and whatnot,
Yeah.
she was like the go-to, teen actress.
Yeah. Anyway, the
And it's
master.
the master.
Sorry.
From the master,
I-
this Paul Thomas Anderson drama to Space Camp.
I just think it's so funny. The number one movie on my list, I talk like this, very, very flat. I like this movie. You bring up Space Camp, I'm, what? Yeah!
I saw him looking it up here. I'm like, is that going to be your number one cult movie? Like, is this like a cult of like campers at Space Camp or what?
That just goes to show how much you do not appreciate Space Camp.
I've never seen it, nor have I ever heard of it. So
I think you need to put it on your list.
Yeah, where
the top right there, Space Camp, and then the master.
All right, I'm gonna find it. It's got to be in here somewhere.
Well,
Okay.
anyway, the master is on Netflix.
Yeah, and
let's throw that one
it's
out there.
great. I mean, it really is. I just think it's super solid storytelling. It is very talky, so I mean, if you don't like dialogue-driven movies, you may not like it. But man, I saw this in theaters when we had it in town for maybe a week when it first came out, and it was my number one movie of the year that year.
I think you're gonna have a hard time finding this movie on anything, Brian. Space Camp.
Sometimes Just Watch isn't 100% accurate, so
You might have to find a bootleg DVD or something.
Gotta call up
All right. We'll jump to while Brian looks up where to find Space Camp, a very important movie.
it is a very important movie.
All right, so I'll jump to my number one then.
Yes.
My number one is one of my favorite horror movies of all time,
Shocker, you went back to the horror movie.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, I was like, I think I know where we're going with this one.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
It's, in my honest opinion, it is a perfect horror movie. It almost like predates what we look at as, I guess people like to use the term elevated horror. It is a precursor to that, definitely slow burn, very much like Hereditary, The Witch. It builds up to that ending, and that ending is perfect. It's what makes this movie, work.
Right.
But then I think everything up before that, all the hysteria that goes with everything in the movie is perfect. Mia Farrow is fantastic. And I think if you guys have not watched Rosemary's Baby, go back and watch it.
Yeah, it is just
The original.
Yes, the original Roman Polanski film. Ignore the
right.
the
Forget it's Roman
forget
Polanski.
him.
Just
Forget
go
him, yes.
with it's Mia Farrow, John Cassavetes. Like hold on to that part of it
Yes.
because they are knocking it out of the damn park. Yeah, Rosemary's Baby is awesome.
I
Just
understand
absolute
why you
classic.
did what you did, but it was kind of funny. You're just like, you just turned him into Voldemort.
Just don't say his name.
He must not be.
He
named.
who must not be named.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. Just don't take that part out of it. Yeah. And just focus on the film. Focus on the arts.
Yeah, it's that kind of horror movie that is. It's a slow burn, but in the best possible way because it's building tension and dread throughout the entire runtime. And it's like, the movies where it's a jump scare every 5 minutes, I don't feel like some of those are really good, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like they get the opportunity to really build up that point where you get to the end and you're like, oh shit, what is going to happen? And that's what I think this one does so well, is that it's built up all that tension that the only place it has to go is an explosion of chaos.
All these like modern like jump scare movies where it's just you see the scares coming, it builds up to the music, and then something pops out, and then next scene.
Yep.
This movie does not have
don't
that.
get
It's
to see
not
that.
that at all.
Yeah.
This movie, what makes it work is it just sticks with you at the ending. That ending just hits you. It sticks with you. I'm still thinking about it to this day.
Yeah.
And
Because you just thought about it.
well, even this is the first
Semantics.
the first movie I wrote down on my list too, and it has one of my favorite lines ever. he has his father's eyes.
Oh God, yeah.
It's such a disturbing line if you know what is happening within the movie.
Watch that tonight.
And yeah, definitely go check out Rosemary's Baby. Brian, please watch Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
Please.
Maybe not tonight.
Well, not tonight. Makes you never want to have kids.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of after watching this movie.
Tonight.
Dude, I just gotta give you mine for a couple hours.
Yeah.
I will just give you the twins.
Yeah, your kids might be the kid from this. Or Damien. Yeah.
Isn't Damien from Children of the Corn?
No,
The
the Omen.
Yeah.
Which
And
I
then
like to
the
think of
priest
I like to
answers.
think of the Omen as a sequel to Rosemary's Baby. It's a
Yeah.
lot of
Oh,
fun to
God,
think of
yeah.
it that way. All right, Brian, we're giving it to you. You got the last choice.
I got the closer.
You can't go with Space Camp as your final one either.
God damn it.
Maybe you can.
I can do
If
it.
you can convince us that it is a cult movie, then yes. He's thinking about it.
I was like, well, not in that sense. It's a cult movie. That's as much as a cult movie as Masters of the Universe.
I love that one too.
We're gonna have to go a top 10 list for that type of cult
Like
for sure.
movies that are like so bad, but yet you'll love them.
They're so good. No. I am going to go 1999, a little movie called Fight Club.
Yeah.
I like how Casey's over here digesting it a little bit.
Partially because I haven't seen it.
Oh wow.
There is everything wrong with that statement. Like, everything. I distinctively remember seeing this movie and knowing the exact day that it was going to come out to go, so I can go to the store, go to Best Buy, and go buy that. I still have that original copy of Fight Club on DVD that I bought when it first came out.
Was it was it instantly that when it first came out in that 2-pack in the brown?
Well, it wasn't.
paper
It
packaging?
wasn't a 2-pack, but yeah,
The 2 discs.
yeah, but yes, so it looks like the paper bag.
Yep.
That is
was
what I
great.
have.
That was great. Yeah.
It's one of those ones where it's like, digital, Blu-ray, everything like that. I was like, I don't want, because they don't make it like that anymore.
Right, I know.
I want to keep that. Yes. So Fight Club, there's everything great about it. It is one of those movies that, I mean, even outside of the aspect of this, army that he creates, because his cult is basically the equivalent of an army. But, after rewatching, when you realize exactly what this movie is, it's the subtle things about that movie that you just sit there and you have to think so much. Like when you realize that Ed Norton's character and Brad Pitt's character are the same person.
Spoilers.
You know what? Again, we're going to go with if the embargo is lifted on Endgame, fuck off. Because we're talking 20 years ago. You've had plenty of time, you young sapling.
I own this damn movie too.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right. That's what you watch tonight. It's Fight Club.
We'll all leave this podcast with something that we have to watch tonight.
Right.
And it's a homework.
So, but no, is the even just the interaction between Helen Bonham Carter and Ed Norton versus Helen Bonham Carter and Brad Pitt? Do you never, on the first watch, you don't realize that there is no interaction of all three of them in the same movie or in the same scene at the exact same time? It just doesn't happen. And then it's not till you get to the end and they pull the trigger. You're like, I get it now.
I remember when I saw this in theaters, like the first line that they say after they kind of reveal that he is actually Tyler Durden is like something about, and you decrease cabin pressure or something about the bottom dropping out. And that's exactly what it feels like. You're like, what?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I do love, especially just the weird caricature that Brad Pitt basically turns into by the end of it.
Yeah.
When Ed Norton's finally going off the deep end and he shoots the van, and Brad Pitt's all like, "You're shooting your imaginary friend," and he's just going off.
It is that.
Yes. Meatloaf, very young, unknown Jared Leto. Pretty much the only thing he really was known for at the time was Party of Five.
My So-Called Life.
Oh, sorry. Yes, My So-Called Life. Yes, sorry, my bad. Sorry, Claire Danes. Oh yeah, just to see how much they could ugly up Jared Leto. we're just gonna punch the living shit out of you. Sorry, Angel. You know, you
I
poor.
wanted to destroy something beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's a good line.
I mean, the dialogue, just the story, just everything about that movie. And then the part that's funny about it is it's such an amazing movie as it is. You don't even realize that it would technically be a cult because of how much everything else is built around it. And Ed Norton and Brad Pitt learned how to make soap by making that movie.
Yeah, and dynamite.
Well, at least they for real know how to make soap.
Yeah.
I don't know about the dynamite
Right.
part. I'll leave that to them.
Yeah, I feel this is such a blind spot for me, unfortunately. I know.
It
It shows my age for sure.
yeah,
How young I am.
say so.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you figure what Fight Club is right after. Well, based on the time frame and whatnot, this was the next thing Fincher did after Alien 3.
No, it was Alien 3 was his first. So it was Alien 3, then 7, The Game, and then Fight Club, right?
When
Fight
was
Club.
Alien 3?
Alien 3, I was still in 3rd grade when Alien 3 came out, 3rd or 4th grade. So that was like early 90s. And then Fight Club was maybe 90. Fight Club was 99.
Right.
But Alien 3 might have been 92? 91,
Oh
92?
shit! It is that old. Fuck. For some reason, I was thinking it was closer to 97.
Yeah. And by that point, I was already eating, I was in the camp of Fincher because it was like 7 was badass, The Game was badass, and I was ready to watch whatever he had next, and Fight Club was just...
The game.
such an
The
experience.
one,
Michael
Michael
Douglas,
Douglas,
yep.
yes.
Yeah, Fight Club for me was kind of a... Yeah, that 1999 is my favorite year for movies of all time, and I'm trying to rewatch as many of them to celebrate their 20th anniversary this year, and I have not gotten to my rewatch of Fight Club yet, but I'm super looking forward to it because that movie is great. And it's fun to kind of go back and watch it now because you pick up on a lot of the different messages that are being expressed kind of below the surface, and I think it's a movie that rewards itself upon multiple viewings.
The question I have to ask both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have this poster on your wall?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
I was going to say, there's always 3 posters every movie nerd has had on their wall. Pulp Fiction, Fight Club, and Scarface.
I never had Scarface. I never had a Scarface poster.
So Scarface. No. What was the other one?
Pulp Fiction, Fight Club.
Well, I'm also a fucking Tarantino fan, so fuck off.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's always the go-to 3.
When Pulp Fiction came out on video, the Blockbuster that we would always go to had the poster for sale, so like for $5. So of course, $5, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
And then Fight Club was another one too.
Did your movie theater have the cardboard cutouts?
I don't remember if they did or not.
Because I remember the video store here when I would go see.
Yeah.
You'd go into the in the video store, and there's this great big cardboard cutout of John Travolta over here. You had freaking Uma Thurman over here. We've got Bruce Willis over here.
No, we definitely didn't. But it was a Blockbuster, so they didn't really have a lot of cool advertising at Blockbuster. It was just a poster.
We didn't
or
have a
window
Blockbuster by
store.
that time yet.
Yeah?
No, not that I remember. Shoot, no, maybe not. Maybe if it did, it was barely in its infancy.
Yeah. That was when I was living in Texas, and there was a Blockbuster every 5 blocks.
All right. Oh, that was a lot. That's cult movies.
Yeah.
We got through
Movies
them all.
about cults.
Yes. We have a lot of... I think that's my favorite part of doing lists and bringing someone else in to talk about lists. There's always...
It gets really long.
It's a long...
long
there's a
chat.
lot of stuff to talk about. But there's always at least one movie from both lists that I can pull away from, like, I need to go watch that.
Space Camp.
And Space
And
Camp.
Space Camp as a
Space
bonus.
Camp from Brian and... fuck Fight Club. Space Camp all the way.
That's the one to go with.
Yeah.
No, Fight Club.
Are you sure? Which one would you tell me to watch first, Brian?
Fight Club because I'm disappointed you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And then watch Space Camp.
I am thoroughly disappointed in you right now. For as much as you give crap about everybody in the 90s who had the posters on the walls, which means you know about this movie, it's not like it's this anything you not know about.
I said I own this movie.
So when we leave here, you're just gonna go pop it in the DVD player.
Yeah.
It's that time.
Or I just rewatch Wayne's World again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Go with that old chestnut.
That old chestnut. The greatest movie ever made, Wayne's World. All right, so that's the episode, guys.
Woo! We
Felt
did
like
it.
we ran a marathon.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, I know. I'm hungry now.
I'm gonna
It's a
need
good-
an orange wedge and a glass of water.
It's a good feeling, though. So let's jump into our plugs. Let's start off with what we got going on here. We're got a couple things going on at Backlot. You can check out Jameson Feifel's review of the Child's Play remake coming up. We got that up on the Backlot 605 website. You can check out my ranking of the Conjuring universe coming out. As soon as this podcast is out, it'll be up on the website. Also, check out Coming Soon every Thursday. And you can check out this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, check out these couple groups on Facebook, including the Sioux Falls Film Community Group. That's where you can kind of join the conversation, talk about anything you want to talk about that's movie-related. Do it on that group page. Also, check out the South Dakota Film Actors. You can find that link on the the Sioux Falls Film Community Group. It's in there. You can find the link there. And of course, we have to plug the Fat Dude.
Hey,
Andy, what do you got going on?
Yeah, so there's no real rhyme or reason where I really plan anything in advance. It's just kind of what I feel like watching and what I feel like talking about. So I'll have more reviews coming out probably tonight and every night about whatever movies I watch. There'll be a podcast again next week and another YouTube video for next week. I'm still kind of kicking around the idea, but it might be top 5 movies to watch when you're depressed or something along those lines. Just something to try and make you become one with your emotions. And then podcast will probably be dealing with Spider-Man and Midsommar with the release of those. Just kind of a brief kind of touching on what I thought about those 2 movies. So, but yeah, you can find anything Fat Dude Digs Flicks on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, pretty much all the same places you guys are. That's where I am. And yeah, join, give me a like, give me a follow, and we'll talk about movies.
Absolutely. Please check out Andy at Fat Dude Digs Flicks. So that's been the episode. Next week we are on our show here at Backlot 605. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man Far From Home.
You better go watch it because we're going to spoil the shit out of it.
Yes, so please go watch it. I mean, if you're going to listen to a podcast about spoilers, you're going to go watch it. So
as I say, if you're going to listen to us, you're going to have probably watched it.
Yeah, so we are going to be joined by a couple guests, so be on the lookout for that next week. Go watch Spider-Man. We're going to talk about some Far From Home spoilers, and as well as the wrap-up of Phase 3, looking forward to what Marvel has coming up after. So I'm assuming another long episode.
Maybe.
And that's all right.
It's all right.
All right, Brian. This is it. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
All done.
This took a lot out of me.
You're like, I just want to go home and sleep.
I need a nap.
I just need to sleep. So, Andy, thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Again, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, YouTube. Just do a search for Fat Dude Digs Flicks. You can find me there and enjoy various forms of content.
Yes, and of course we will plug you everything that we use. So.
Oh yeah, same here. Every
Awesome.
episode, make sure I cap you guys off at the
I
end.
know, Brian. You need to listen to his podcast. Jeez.
All I'm hearing is him somewhere capping us. I was like, wow, he got violent real fast.
Capping.
I'm capping you off.
All right, let's cap this episode off, Brian.
Pow!
I'm good.
Don't do that in the microphone, Andy.
Yeah. Oh God. All right, Brian.
He's gonna go to edit and he's gonna...
Shit. All right. Thank you all for listening. Be careful with your ear holes after that.
Sorry.
All right. We'll see you next time on the Backlot of South Dakota.
Bye now. Don't hurt me.